Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the second part of my September reading wrap up. I decided to split my reading wrap up of September into because I read 14 books and it took me a while to get through them. So this is me talking about the second half of the books I read in September. Also, don't mind my hair looking all poofy like that. I have my hair in a claw clip like that literally 24/7. So when I take it out and like I brush through it, it usually like ends up looking like, I don't know, it's not really cute, but I don't know, you're not here to look at me, you're here to hear about my opinion on the books I read, I guess. So let's get started. After reading all the books and listening to all the audiobooks that I already talked about in the first part of my September reading wrap up, I picked up Once Upon a Broken Heart as an audiobook. Now this is very atypical for me because this is a YA fantasy story, and I do not read or listen to YA fantasy, so why did I possibly pick up this book? So basically this is 100% inspired by Carrie and her reading vlogs. She read the second part of this, I don't even know if it's a duology or if it's going to continue, but she basically read the book that comes after this, Once Upon a Broken Heart. The other one is called Ballad of Never After, and she recorded her basically reaction to the end of that book, and apparently it is absolutely mind-boggling, mind-blowing. Her jaw was hitting the floor. She could not believe what was happening. She kept rereading the pages, being like, oh my fucking god, what just happened? And I was just like watching these videos being like, what did happen, girl? I need to know to what you could possibly have such a strong reaction, because I don't know, I usually don't react that strongly towards books. I don't know, like even if I enjoy a story, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that was nice, and if I don't like a story, it was like, oh okay, I don't know, not for me, not gonna pick up the next part or whatever. But like usually I don't have like such strong visceral reactions. So seeing Carrie absolutely like lose it over like the second part of this book, I was like, I want to experience that. I want to know, first of all, what this is about. I want to know what is so shocking. I want to see if I think it's that shocking too. I want to see if I possibly have such a visceral reaction to it as well. So that is why I listened to the audiobook of the first part, because obviously I gotta listen to the first part to understand the second part. And actually just, I don't know, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, the audiobook for the second part finally did come in on Libby for me, but I'm still finishing up 2 other books, so I want to like read those fast until I like listen to the second part of this book. I am maybe gonna, okay, I also definitely want to record my reaction to the end of that second story, because apparently that's the thing that really triggers people. So I don't know if it's gonna make it into this video or into the next one, kind of like depending on when I'm gonna release this. So yeah, if there is going to be that part included in this video, I'm going to like put it on the screen here somewhere. So basically this is, as I just said, a YA fantasy story. It is kind of like about our girl Evangeline. Like I actually for the first time in my entire life remember the names of both main characters, Evangeline and Jax. Now Evangeline, she basically makes a deal with the devil, but he's not the devil, but he's one of the fates. Fates are, they're not gods, they're not immortal, they don't age, but they can die, but they are kind of like, they're not normal human beings apart from that either, but they are kind of like god-ish, but they're not gods. I don't know, I think this story is taking place in the same realm and the same world as the Caraval series. So I guess if you read those books, I think fates are also already a part in that story, so you might be more familiar with this concept of what a fate is. I kind of like understood them as these kind of like goddish creatures, but they do exist at the same time as you, but they are kind of like supernatural, but they're not, but they can also die. I don't know, it's a complicated business. And basically the fate that she prays to, the fate that she makes a deal with is Jax, obviously. And he himself is cursed. Like he is like the fate of the broken hearts or something like that. And he himself is cursed in a way that his kiss is fatal. Everyone that he kisses dies basically, and like he is cursed to find his one and only love out there, and she will be the only one who does not die when he kisses her. So basically he is having ladies drop left, right and center for him because he's trying to find her, and all these girls are dying along the way, I guess. So I don't know, that's kind of like his story, right? Though we do find out, because right now you might be like, so, could it possibly be that she is the one because that has never been a trope in YA fantasy history, that the main protagonist is the one. Oh my god, unheard of. But actually in this story it is unheard of, because she's in fact not the one, or at least that's what it looks like after the first book, because he tells her about how he found the one, but she hates him. So now he's found his big grand love, but she doesn't want to have anything to do with him, so that's awkward. I don't know, but I mean, obviously there's not the second book, and obviously there's like this dynamic between our two people, so will she turn out to be the one after all? I could see that one coming along the way, but anyway, so basically what happens, she's trying to prevent something, or she's trying to like do this one thing, so she prays to him and makes this deal with him, and what he asks for her in return is that he grants her basically 3 kisses. Now you might be like, wait, what? Doesn't everyone die whom he kisses? Well, he doesn't want her to kiss him, but he basically wants a free pass, as in to say like, you kiss him, you kiss her, etc., so that he can basically tell her to kiss 3 people. But obviously he's not just doing that for shits and giggles, people. He's just not like, oh, kiss that guy. No, he has his own plan that he's working towards, and that's like, he can give her this power basically, that if he smears a drop of his blood on her lips, which is actually pretty disgusting, or her kiss or whatever becomes like irresistible, or like the person that she then kisses becomes completely like either like obsessed with her or super obedient and stuff like that, so he can via her then like control these people, because he's after this one thing of his own. We basically learn about this prophecy, and he like we learn that Jax thinks that Evangeline is the incarnation of this prophecy, and I guess like as to why he wants this prophecy to be fulfilled, I guess this would maybe be like spoilery territory, so I'm not going to tell you. Also, I didn't maybe fully understand it myself. I'm not used to this YA fantasy stuff, so when they start talking about realms and creatures and prophecies, I am kind of like, well, I don't know. And I only listened to the first part so that I can now listen to the second part to see what all the hype is about the ending of the second part, right? So I mean, I did enjoy the story and I was paying attention, but then once we got into like the nitty-gritty of like, okay, why is he doing that, and like with the prophecy, at times I kind of lost the plot a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But I did enjoy it, and I am not really looking forward to listening to the second part, but I wanted to record my like impression of the first part before listening to the second part, so that I could like separate these and not only talk about the second part. So yeah, so that was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, something like that. Okay guys, I am finishing up the audiobook for the Ballad of Never After right now. As you can tell, wait a second, I'm like 97% through. It is only 20 minutes left to go, and I'm listening to it at 1.5 speed, so obviously that's less than 20 minutes. A lot has happened. I mean, most of the plot of this book is obviously connected to what happened in the first book, so if you just listen to that segment of what is going on in the first book, I'm not going to say much more on the plot, I think, because in the second part as well, they're on this quest to, well, fulfill the prophecy, because she is now also working towards fulfilling the prophecy for her own reasons. And obviously the sparks, the chemistry between Evangeline and Jax, it starts getting stronger and stronger. So like, yeah, she's not the one, but can he have more than just the one, if you know what I'm saying? Anyway, and now we have definitely already reached like the final big scene. A lot is happening, and without giving spoilers per se, I guess it is fair to say, like, obviously by the end of this book they are kind of like fulfilling this prophecy that they have been working towards this entire time, which basically means opening this one arch, the Valerie arch, and see what is behind it. And now this is where we're at right now, but obviously opening the arch is not everything that's going on right now. There have been some more shenanigans going on, but I don't want to spoil anyone. So basically, I'm gonna speed this clip up so that you don't actually hear what is being said, so that you don't get spoiled, and also so that I don't get copywritten, but you're gonna see my reaction, and then we're gonna convene again, and I'm gonna talk about what I thought of the book. Okay.
We hope you've enjoyed this production of The Ballad of Never After.
Okay, it just finished. I guess you could tell by my reaction that I wasn't as shocked or like whatever as, I mean, I only saw basically Carrie's reaction video to The Ballad of Never After, but like she was all over the place, like, oh my god, what the fuck. Can you hear the fridge in the background? Always the same with that buddy, honestly. Anyway, okay, I guess this ending leaves me less shocked, but just like with a couple of questions, especially as to what was happening within like the last 2 minutes, because there was one person that kind of like popped out of nowhere. At least like they weren't around before, they popped out of nowhere and they did something that I was like, wait, why are you doing that? Like, what is your motivation right now? What is happening? So okay, yeah, less shocked, more confused. That's where I am at. But apparently the author only like a couple of days ago, like 2 days ago, announced that this is in fact not the end of the entire story, but she's currently already writing the third book, which is gonna be released in 2023. So maybe everyone was so shocked thinking that that was the end of the entire saga, and I mean that wouldn't have made a lot of sense. Like the way this stops, there are so many open questions and so many what the hell has just happened. It truly wouldn't make sense to have that be the end of like a story. And I'm glad I listened to the story anyway. I was surprisingly into it, considering that I'm not really a YA fantasy kind of girl. But yeah, I still enjoyed this. You can feel free to give this a go too. Know that there will be a third book only coming out in 2023, and we're not talking January of 2023. Like she's still writing that book, so don't hold your breath for that. But yeah, I still had a good time with it, and there goes that. Okay, after that I got around to listen to the Final Gambit, the last part in the Inheritance Games trilogy. It just dropped at the end of August, I want to say, and I got it in as an audiobook, listened to it, finally finished off the series. The last part is a good conclusion to the series. It does wrap it up in a nice bow, I would say, and almost creates a bit of a circle, if I may say that without spoiling stuff. But I mean, obviously this is the last part for the Inheritance Game series. This series about a girl who becomes the sole heir of this literal billionaire, not millionaire, billionaire. But she has to live in this house with all his like super hot grandsons, and they're all solving puzzles left and right, because like that's the thing that the grandpa and the grandsons had going on, that they was like solving mysteries and solving puzzles, etc. So he's having her live in the house for a year, and only when she does that she can actually inherit the money. So obviously she's doing it, but like all these clues and mysteries were left behind, and everyone of course is trying to figure out why did the grandpa leave his billions to the strange girl, to the stranger. Who even is she, right? So that's basically what we're trying to figure out for the entire series. So I just realized that, similar to what I complained about in my last video about how I did not like this concept of the Truly Devious series, that it's one story that just gets split up into 3 books, so that they basically force you to continue reading if you want to find out what actually happened. Well, it's the same one with the Inheritance Game series. Like nothing gets resolved in book 1, nothing gets resolved, like at least one of the like biggest sub mysteries gets solved, I guess, in part 1, and then there's like another in part 2, but like about the overall question, like why was she chosen to inherit all this money, what is actually going on here, all of that only then finally gets revealed within the third part. And as I mentioned, like I think for the Final Game, or like for the Inheritance Games series, I don't know, it was less of an issue for me, to be honest. It irked me less that the entire story was constructed like that, as in forcing you to continue if you even want like the tiniest bit of an answer to any of the questions. But with the Truly Devious series, I don't know, it bothered me more. But definitely know what you're getting yourself into once you pick up the first book, because I mean, unless you're like so not interested in anything that you're just like fine with not getting any answers, you can obviously leave off after the first book and the second book. But if you read the first book and you're like, shit, I want the answers, you gotta be forced to read both the second and the third book. Especially the second book was pretty lackluster, not a lot really happened. I don't know. The third book, wait, what actually did happen in particular? I mean, yeah, obviously like everything gets resolved by the end, but what actually happened in between, I don't know. I was just kind of like listening to it as an audiobook while I was like on the bus for an hour trying to get to a cute cafe on the other side of town, because that's the main thing that I do. But yeah, it was a good ending to the overall story though. Okay, moving on to, I read a Dog Academia book recommendations that I had actually not come across before, but this was actually like a new book I came across in one of these videos, and it was Catherine House. I don't think the book per se is new, but it was like basically the first time I heard about this. Now in my head, the setting for Catherine House and the Truly Devious series was exactly the same. I pictured the surroundings to be exactly the same, because Catherine House 2 is taking place at this prestigious private academy in the middle of nowhere in the woods. It's the exact same setting, but it's way less fun. I didn't really like Catherine House. So it's about a bunch of unlikable people. We're basically following mainly this one girl, and I don't know, I never warmed up to her. I didn't really like her. And she's starting to go to Catherine House. And the thing that makes Catherine House special is, for the duration of the time that you go there, you are not allowed to have any contact with the outside world. So for the 2-3 years that you go there, it's nada, niente. You don't get to hear anything from outside. You don't have any like communication, whatever. And of course, we're like kind of like, okay, why? So that's maybe like a mystery we're trying to solve. And then we slowly figure out that there are like strange experiments going on at the school, and it's kind of like about mind manipulation. And there are like some speculative aspects as to the science that's basically being done there. Or like, is it? Yeah, definitely. It is definitely, but then it's about also like just like psychology, and that's very much real. I don't know. So it's basically about that. And I mean, the further we go into the book, the more we figure out, okay, what these experiments are actually about, and their whack punishment strategies and stuff like that. But honestly, like, strange experiments and strange punitive exercises, that makes it sound way more interesting than this book actually was. It was very lackluster for me. Like, as I just said, the setting in itself wasn't anything new for me, but then you could argue that the setting in all of these, or like most Dark Academia books, is low-key the same, but that's also kind of like the point. It's taking place at like these prestigious schools, universities that are in the middle of nowhere, etc. So fair point. But then I really didn't care about any of the characters, including our main character. There was this aspect of, okay, wait, what are these experiments? But they were kind of like weird. So I wasn't like fully invested in any part of the story. And then it ended and I moved on. And so will we in this video. Okay, then I headed into The Hunting Party, the last Lucy Foley, or like, is it the last? I feel like Lucy Foley has The Hunting Party, The Paris Apartment, and The Guest List, not in this particular order, I think, but those are the 3 Lucy Foley books I know about. So, and I read The Paris Apartment in, I believe, August, and I listened to The Guest List in July, and now I listened to The Hunting Party. And did I like it? No, not really. So if I have to rank these 3 Lucy Foley books in order of how much I liked/disliked them, I like The Hunting Apartment, the Hunting Apartment, that doesn't exist. The Paris Apartment, I like the best. Not obsessed with it, but amongst those 3, I liked it the best. Then I guess The Hunting Party would be in the middle, and The Guest List would be last, because I absolutely fucking despise The Guest List. If you want to know why, check out this other video. And basically, The Hunting Party or The Guest List is almost the same as, like, we have our remote location and we have a group of like early to mid-30 people going there, reconnecting after a longish time. Like in The Guest List, it's about like a wedding party, and like all these people see each other again for, like, I mean, some of them have of course been in contact, but it's also a bit of a reunion of all these people who went to school or university together. And this is like kind of like the same vibe. They are like a friend group, so like most of them have been in contact, but then also some of them have not been keeping up too well over the years, and now they are going on this trip to like a hunting cabin in the woods in Scotland, and it's taking place during winter, and they get snowed in. And during the course of the book, I mean, their dirty little secrets, etc., get revealed, and then someone, like from the very first moment, we know that someone dies, basically, because the story is told in 2 timelines. one is like the present moment where we see like them arriving there and like the dynamics unfold, etc. And one is like a perspective from the future when we know already that someone got killed, but at first, like for the longest time, we don't know who, of course, or like even like if it was like a man or a woman, so we can like truly not just like guess who got killed. And like this future timeline, it is reversing though. If oh my god, this is like actually like with the timelines, as I was listening to it, I was already thinking this is going to be hard to explain in the video, like how this actually works. So let's say the present timeline, we start Monday, right? They arrive at the cabin. The future timeline, it starts off Sunday when the corpse gets discovered. And then we have chapters alternating between Monday, Sunday, Monday, Saturday, Monday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. Like you see like these two timelines, they start coming closer together until of course we meet in the middle, which is the exact point when the murder happens. In that sense, I don't know, I guess maybe Lucy Foley's style is not really for me, because I mean with the setting itself, I guess I would not have a problem. I really do enjoy these kind of settings in, let's say for example, Agatha Christie books, or like in a lot of other murder mysteries, but I don't know, it's just like Lucy Foley's style that's not quite for me. In this book again, the characters were quite unlikable. They were not as despicable as the ones in the guest list, but still not likable. Still, I didn't really care about any of them because they're like, oh, you all sound kind of shit. I don't want to spend any time with you, and I definitely don't really care about you, so why am I reading this book? So I don't know, I mean a lot of people I know don't have issues with unlikable characters, because often of course, I mean I'm not dumb, I get it that like sometimes it's like the point that the character is meant to be unlikable and so on and so forth, but I definitely prefer it if I like a character, even like if they have unlikable traits, even if they're like morally gray or whatever, if you can still like a character. But like in the guest list, I hated everyone, and like even like with these people in the hunting party, I just like genuinely didn't like them and therefore didn't care about them. And the murder aspect, it wasn't interesting enough to kind of like turn my opinion of the book around. So my opinion is still like Lucy Foley's The Paris Apartment was still my favorite out of the books I have read of her so far. Definitely stay away from the guest list unless you're like into masochism, unless you want to torture yourself reading a book about shit people. And like the hunting party is somewhere in between. I don't know. Now as to the two books that I'm currently still in the middle of. So I have started reading The Box in the Woods, which is like a standalone mystery that is taking place in the Truly Devious world though. So I read the Truly Devious series, so like the first Truly Devious, The Vanishing Stare and The Hand on the Wall at the beginning of the month, and right now I'm reading the standalone The Box in the Woods, which is starring the same characters, but it is completely like unrelated to the Truly Devious case. So you can read this book first to see if you like want to give the other series a go, because I mean the case, the Ellingham Academy case of the Truly Devious series, it does get referenced, but it does not get spoiled. So that was something that I wanted to definitely know before I talked about this book in the video, because that's obviously something you have to know, like does it get spoiled? Basically it does not. So I mean, she is obviously Stevie Bell, the one Bell, is that even her name? Stevie. She's the girl Stevie that solved the famous Ellingham case. That's always like how she's being introduced in the standalone mystery. But yeah, it never gets spoiled, so you would be on the safe side there. But I mean, if you are interested in the Truly Devious series because you're looking for a YA murder mystery that does fit the dark academia theme, this does not fit the dark academia theme, as it is taking place during the summer and on a camp and not at school. So this is basically a story that is taking place in the summer after she solved that murder mystery case in the Truly Devious series, and she starts working at this camp that in itself has a murder history though, because like 40 years ago a bunch of murders happened there and they never got resolved, and now she's on the scene to try and solve them because she just was very successful with that other case she just did at the academy. So now she got all cocky and thought that she could do it again. Anyway, at this point I think 52% through, so 54%. So I can't judge the book by its ending yet because I haven't reached it yet, basically. But I mean, I couldn't talk about the ending anyway because that would be spoilers. But I mean, so far it is about, yeah, as I just said, like 40 years ago, 4 teenagers got like viciously stabbed to death in the woods surrounding this camp, and all of the like family and like other survivors, etc., from this traumatic incident are still living in the town because it's only 40 years ago. All of these people are still alive because, like, in the Truly Devious case, it was like 90 years after this thing happened at the academy, so obviously no one was around anymore that Stevie could talk to. But in this case, everyone is still very much around, so she's just trying to figure out what happened back then. I am enjoying it so far. I mean, I'm breezing through it. That's the same thing. I mean, I talked about it at length in my last video, how there are certain strong elements that I disliked about the Truly Devious series, but more like about the setup and like the character as opposed to like the plot per se. But I still like breeze through them. I did enjoy them, and I mean, I wouldn't be reading the standalone if I didn't like the other story, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I am enjoying this. Let's see where it's going. And then another book I picked up is The Atlas 6. I'm finally reading it. I think I also heard that like the sequel to this book is coming out fairly soon, but I mean, first I gotta read this book, right? I'm only 16% through yet, so I can barely say anything about it yet. So maybe I will shoot a follow-up clip and include it in the later half of this video. I don't know. But yeah, the Atlas 6, it's a full-on fantasy though. I think I had heard that it has like magical elements, but I didn't know, or I kind of like ignored the fact that it is a full-on fantasy. So this is about 6 students getting elected from all over the globe to be admitted, or like to compete to be admitted into the society that is protecting the secret of the Library of Alexandria. Now, the Library of Alexandria actually did exist, but it did burn down. But in this world, basically, the library is still existent, but it's hidden. And there's a society that protects it and protects its secret. And every year they are looking, or like, is it every 10 years or every year? I'm not sure anymore. They're looking for like new recruits, but they only select the best of the best. And then they select these 6 students. But it has already been insinuated that by the end of 1 year, by the end of this like training period, only 5 will remain standing. But I also heard that this book basically has no plot, but it's only like basically a character studies of these 6 people that I already got introduced to all of them, and they all have like their special magical abilities. One of them, for example, is a telepath. One kind of has natural powers, as in like she can control plants and stuff like that. I don't know, I can't describe these things at all. And then some are called like physicists, and then they can like make fire and make the earth tremble. I don't know. And like one can see through illusions, because like magic is a thing, and there are like also such things as illusions, and one of them can see through them. And then like the last one, he's very persuasive, like he can basically, I guess, like manipulate people into doing what he wants them to do. I don't know. So like all of these people, they have like special powers, and they're like the best of the best of the best at these powers. And yeah, I heard that this is not so much about like them going through like the sick training all action now, and like would they have to fight in these games, I don't know, but it's basically more like about them sitting together, I guess, within the library, and they have to decide who of them is going to die. I don't know if that, I mean, on the one hand, I think, because I will always, or at least at this point in my life, I always prefer plot over just like character driven stories. I prefer when there's actually something happening. So I would prefer it if they now actually had to go through these challenges and tasks, but I guess that's not where this book is going to be going. But yeah, is it literally just, is that going to be the big task that they're going to have to face, that they're going to put them in a room or like in the library for a year and be like, by the end of the year, you have to decide who of you is going to die? that is a fascinating concept. Like, whoa, what the fuck, what a question, right? And if that is how this book is gonna develop, just like them trying to figure out how they answer this question, this could be very interesting. But yeah, so far I'm just at this point, like, not even a fifth into the book, I'm a bit overwhelmed maybe by all the magic in it, because I'm not used to magical settings in books, etc. So that's a lot. I don't know how big a role it's going to play over the course of the book, because I mean, if it's about them sitting around and trying to figure out who's going to have to die, I don't know how much magic they're going to do. I mean, they might argue some stuff like, you should die because your power is like the least useful, I don't know, but I guess they're maybe not going to do a lot of magic, so that's not going to be too much of an issue, I don't know. Anything else? Yeah, that's basically everything I have to say about the book right now. I will film a little bit of an update once I actually finish it. Hey guys, this is me editing. I'm so sorry I did not yet finish the athletics. Also, this is my September reading wrap up and it is now November. I think you can tell I'm struggling. I'm so sorry. I will get back to you soon. Bye.